What if I told you the oil market just made a $100 billion mistake? After Donald Trump delayed strikes on Iran, prices dropped fast. Traders rushed to price in de-escalation. But here's the problem. Nothing has actually de-escalated. In fact, the risk to global energy markets might be higher now than before. Let us start with the headline. Trump announced a 5-day delay on strikes, targeting Iranian energy infrastructure. He said negotiations were productive. Iran immediately denied that. Markets reacted instantly. Oil dropped sharply. Volatility eased. The narrative became crisis avoided. But if you zoom out, this was not a strategic shift. It was a pause under pressure, behind the scenes. Gulf states like Saudi Arabia and the UAE pushed hard against strikes. The Pentagon likely needs more time to position forces. Bactional talks are happening, but nowhere near a deal. So this is not diplomacy winning. It is time being bought. Let us be clear. Trump is not backing down. The U.S. is still on a path toward reopening the Strait of Hormuz by force if necessary. And that matters, because Hormuz is the single most important choke point in global energy. About 20% of global oil flows through it. If that is disrupted, everything changes. Oil prices spike. LNG markets tighten. Shipping costs surge. Now here is the key. Reopening Hormuz is not easy. It could take 2 to 3 weeks just to position the right military assets, minesweepers, carrier strike groups, air support, and once you start that operation, you are not de-escalating, you are escalating. Most people are looking at this war the wrong way. They are asking, is Iran winning or losing? That is the wrong question. Iran does not need to win conventionally. It just needs to raise the cost of conflict. And it has a very clear strategy. Deterrence through disruption. Even after heavy strikes, Iran still has ballistic missiles. It can target regional energy infrastructure. And most importantly, it can threaten Hormuz. That is the game. If Iran can convince the U.S. and its allies that any attack on us will destabilize global energy markets, then it doesn't need to win militarily. It just needs to make the war too expensive to continue. Now, let us talk about the piece that is not getting enough attention. Iran still holds about 440 kilograms of uranium, enriched to 60%. That is not weapons grade, but it is close. And there are only 3 ways this gets resolved: diplomatically, covertly, militarily. None of those are easy. And here is the risk. If this war ends with Iran believing it has restored deterrence, it could try to enrich further, move toward a nuclear weapon. That is the next phase risk. So why did oil fall? Because markets are reacting to headlines, not structure. They saw delay, negotiations, no immediate strikes, and priced in de-escalation. But the fundamentals did not change. The strait is still at risk. Military buildup is ongoing. There is no real diplomatic framework. If anything, the situation is more unstable, not less. Because now you have delayed action, increased uncertainty, and kept escalation options on the table. This is what I call a false calm. Here is the most likely path forward. Short term, continued tension. No resolution. Medium term, the U.S. prepares to secure Hormuz trigger point. Either negotiations fail or disruption worsens. And then we move into the next phase, direct escalation. That could include strikes on Iranian coastal infrastructure, expanded naval operations, potential targeting of key energy assets. For energy markets, the takeaway is simple. This is not a de-escalation cycle. It is a pause in an escalation cycle. That means oil downside is limited. Volatility stays elevated. Risk premium comes back, especially if Hormuz disruption continues. So here is the bottom line. The market thinks this crisis is cooling down, but it is not. It is just waiting. And in geopolitics, those pauses, they are usually when the next move is being prepared.